Mae Busch was a popular leading lady throughout the 1920s and made a successful transition to the Talkie, starring in an Oscar nominee for Best Picture in 1929. But she slipped in supporting character roles and later bit parts in the 1930s. What happened? Join me as I investigate. Mae was born as Annie Mae Busch in 1891 in Melbourne, Australia, to actors Frederick and Dora Busch. In 1897, the family moved to San Francisco, where Frederick and Dora went on tour, and Mae was enrolled in a convent school until the age of 12. In 1903, her parents allowed her to join them on their latest vaudeville tour, in which they were billed as the Busch-DeVere Trio, an act that continued through 1912. In 1912, her career achieved a big boost when she appeared on Broadway with Eddie Foy and Over the River. Little is known about what Mae did after Over the River closed in 1912. I'm assuming she rejoined her parents' act, but by 1915, she had relocated to Los Angeles to begin acting in Keystone comedy shorts under Max Sennett. Between 1915 and 1917, Mae appeared in 20-plus comedic shorts at Keystone, often playing wives, daughters, or sweethearts to the leading man, but always very memorable and very hilarious. In 1917, Mae made her feature film debut in The Fair Barbarian at Paramount, before starring opposite Harry Houdini in his feature film debut, The Grim Game, in 1919, as a dance hall performer that innocently becomes involved in a prank that, unbeknownst to her, leads to murder. It was Mae's biggest role to date and got her noticed by director Erich von Stroheim, who cast her in a major role in his 1920 film The Devil's Passkey before casting her again in a starring role opposite himself, Ma George, and Miss DuPont in Foolish Wives 2 years later, in which she stole the film in every scene in which she appeared as the quote-unquote princess, Vera. A year later, Mae had her first full leading role in The Christian opposite Richard Dix at Goldwyn. She also had a memorable supporting role in the brilliant Hollywood satire Souls for Sale that same year. The Christian and Souls for Sale launched Mae into the most successful era of her film career. Between 1924 and 1927, Mae starred in 20 films, moving between MGM, First National, Preferred, FEO, and Tiffany Studios, but most often she worked at MGM and Tiffany. By the way, Tiffany Pictures was a small studio started by the film star Mae Murray. Highlights of Mae Busch's career at this time included A Woman Who Sinned, Bread, The Triflers, Camille of the Barbary Coast, Time the Comedian, The Unholy Three, in which she starred opposite Lon Chaney and won a Photoplay Award for her performance, and Husband Hunters, in which she played a hilarious seen-it-all gold digger out to land a rich husband with her two friends that were played by Dwayne Thompson and Jean Arthur. According to Leonard Maltin, she was chiefly under contract at MGM at this time and was loaned out to the other studios, but walked away from that contract in 1927 due to mental exhaustion. But after some much-needed rest, Mae recovered and jumped back in it again at 100% later that year in a film that would prove to be an opportunity for an amazing professional association of her career. She was cast as Peaches, an old flame, in Hal Roach's Laurel and Hardy comedy short, Love 'Em and Weep, and gave a hilarious performance opposite Stan Laurel. It led to her becoming a frequent co-star of Laurel and Hardy, but more about that in a second. Mae finished her silent work back at MGM in 1928 by starring opposite Lon Chaney again in While the City Sleeps. In 1929, Mae was cast as the leading lady in the United Artists gangster drama talkie Alibi opposite Chester Morris. The film was a major hit and was nominated for the Oscar for Best Picture at the Second Academy Awards. That same year, she also starred with Laurel and Hardy in a talkie as Hardy's long-suffering, angry wife and Unaccustomed as We Are, which began a series of several shorts and features over the next decade in which she supported the comedic duo in a variety of roles, but most often reprising her role as the ever-pissed-off Mrs. Hardy. From 1930 to 1932, Mae starred in leading and supporting roles in a variety of talkies, mostly at Poverty Row Studios, but an occasional A-picture at a major studio. Two highlights included playing an undercover cop in Defenders of the Law in 1931, and playing leading lady to Harry Carey in the Western Without Honor in 1932. Beginning in 1933, in addition to her work with Laurel and Hardy, Mae moved onto a part of her career of being strictly a character actress over the next several years, again working at both Poverty Row and major studios. Highlights in this part of her career included playing a jaded landlady opposite Thelma Todd in Cheating Blondes in 1933, a seen-it-all lady of the stage in the musical comedy Dance Girl Dance with Evelyn Knapp, also in 1933, and a scheming wife of a scientist in the 1936 serial The Amazing Exploits of the Clutching Hand. She also memorably appeared with Evelyn Brent as two ladies of a certain age that still worked at a Pacific honky-tonk in the Anna May Wong crime drama Daughter of Shanghai in 1937, and stole every scene in which she appeared. After briefly appearing as a mother in The Mad Monster in 1942, May slipped into only making uncredited bit part appearances. Her final film was Ladies' Man in 1947, which was sadly released posthumously. In 1946, May had been suffering from colon cancer for several months, which she sadly succumbed to on April 20th. She was just 54 years old. She had been married to her third husband, Thomas Tate, since 1936. In the 1970s, the Laurel and Hardy group, the Sons of the Desert, had May's remains interred in a new, beautiful spot in the Chapel of the Pines Cemetery, which is still able to be visited today. So we are left with the question, why did Mae Busch's talkie momentum slow down after she starred in the successful Alibi in 1929? Why did she move from leading lady to character actress so quickly? Well, she began her career in vaudeville, so she almost was trained at an early age to be a character actress. Also, she seemed to enjoy acting and creating rich parts, whether they be leading or character, so she jumped at every opportunity in the talkies. It didn't matter to her that she wasn't always a leading lady anymore, that she had been in the silence. She enjoyed creating memorable, scene-stealing, often hilarious characters that proved that the talent that she possessed transcended typecasting. For that, Mae was truly remarkable. What a talent, what a legend. Please like this video and subscribe or follow this account if you want to learn more about the history of silent film stars whose stardom lasted only briefly in the talkies. Up next, join me as I cover the silent to talkie career of Lane Chandler. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great weekend.